The former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani literally yelling after being threatened with jail while facing the prospect of losing everything he owns, of course. The court verdicts against him dwarf what he owns. A lawyer for his creditor saying she could consider seeking prison time for his alleged, quote, bankruptcy crimes. So I want to go straight to Caitlin Polans. She was in that courtroom today, and she's live tonight again for us outside Giuliani's New York City apartment, which, Caitlin, as you've reported, could be worth $6 million, so obviously very relevant in this whole conversation. But you were inside that courtroom today with the chaos, and you're watching the Zoom, Giuliani yelling, and tell us what happened.
Laid out the end game. On Friday, this judge is going to make a decision, and there are two options here for Rudy Giuliani and what happens to his wealth. One option, a trustee could be taking total control over everything that Giuliani has, everything that's incoming, all of the things that he has, what he's able to buy and pay for, or he could be thrown out of bankruptcy court and essentially thrown to the mercy of his creditors, specifically Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, those two Georgia election workers to whom he owes $148 million. They are quite unhappy right now, and that was what we saw a lot of in the courtroom today. Their attorney speaking to the judge about how Giuliani has just not been forthcoming. They can't chase after this money in any reasonable way, and that's what prompted these outbursts from Rudy Giuliani. In the courtroom, he had called in 10 minutes late over his cell phone, and you could hear his voice, that unmistakable voice. This is Rudy saying they're making defamatory remarks and get my lawyers on the phone, or get them on the phone. His lawyer then stepping out of the courtroom to talk to him, calm him down perhaps. But the bottom line is that there are real consequences coming for Rudy Giuliani because of the work he did for Donald Trump after the 2020 election. It's coming in bankruptcy court on Friday, and the attorney for Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss told me just after the hearing that they are ready to take his properties, including this apartment behind me.
Of course, he's with just security. And Ryan, so starting with Giuliani, and just to take a step back here, obviously, the judgments against him dwarf his assets, and yet he has been trying to make money any way he can. We have seen a sordid side of the former mayor. Let me just show everybody.
I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. I can do a happy birthday greeting. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle. Here's my spout. I've been sleeping on my pillows for some time. I love them. They're simply the very best pillows ever made.
I mean, right, you can sort of laugh at that. There's obviously, it's sad too, but in the context of what's going on in this bankruptcy courtroom, what does all this mean for Rudy Giuliani?
So it means a lot of trouble for Rudy Giuliani. It looks like the end of the road, probably at the bankruptcy court. His own lawyers are actually saying they want to take the case out of bankruptcy court, and so does Ms. Moss and Ms. Freeman. So it looks like on Friday that will probably be the judge's ruling, and then I assume immediately Ms. Moss and Ms. Freeman will go to courts in New York, Florida, and D.C. to try to get liens immediately on his properties, which are worth apparently about $11 million in the Florida home and the New York home.
So, which, it's amazing to think about where we are on that, and where Rudy Giuliani used to be. For some reason, it's just hard to get your arms around that, no matter how many times we hear about this. Rudy Giuliani may be on the verge of losing both his homes to the two Georgia election workers that he defamed. At the former mayor's bankruptcy hearing in New York today, the judge signaled that he may be ready to throw out the case. Giuliani can lose control over all of his assets. And those two election workers that we have all come to know so well, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, would then be allowed to try to seize his properties. We are expecting the judge to decide Giuliani's fate this Friday. The hearing today was incredibly testy. The judge at one point even threatened to mute Giuliani's microphone, saying, and I'm quoting the judge now, "I'm going to ask you to listen to me, and if you don't, I'm going to have to cut you off." Joining me here tonight, that is what the judge decides on Friday when it comes to, does that mean Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, their attorney, they immediately have control over this potentially? What does that look like? Not immediately. So Rudy Giuliani would get a chance to appeal the bankruptcy, which is what he wants. He would get to take it up to an appeals court. They, on the other hand, think they can fight it. Ruby and Shay, they would also be able to start going after his assets. Now again, if he's appealing it and the thing is still in the courts, it would probably take a little more time.